Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the Master of Hoppers. Today checking out another Barrel Souls beer that I got from Beerdome. So thanks a ton to Beerdome for the beer. This is the final Barrel Souls beer I have in the cellar at the moment. Fantastic brewery, in my mind, quite underrated. I think they make amazing beers and their barrel characters are screaming and on point. I love them. A good reason to check out Beerdome is because they get their stuff once in a while. They've had some of their highest rated beers, and I've even been too slow to get any of those. But they once in a while get their stuff, and I think they might still have some if you try and look on their web shop. So check them out. But this is a bottle of their Sticky Fingers. Amazing reference to the Rolling Stones there. And this is an Imperial Stout with maple syrup and pecans. So I guess a pastry-esque stout. But as far as, I'm concerned, when these guys made these adjunct stouts, they've been not like overly crazy sweet over the top, like what I usually try and call adjunct stouts, because in my mind pastry stouts are sickeningly sweet and just like a bit too much. But yeah, this one is, as I said, with maple syrup and pecans. It's 14.1% and it was bottled in 2020. So it's a 2-year-old vintage bottle we got here. Bottle number 1281 out of 1800 bottles. And it's been aged in Buffalo Trace bourbon and maple syrup bourbon barrels for 11 months and 28 days. They got all the info in the back. I love it. So, yeah, this is going to be nice to try. Again, I love Barrel Souls. They do some fantastic beers. Pours a very nice pitch black color. I can smell maple syrup nuances from here. And yeah, I mean, it looks like their stouts. It's like not sludgy thick as a lot of modern stouts, but you can see it looks rich, it looks dense, it has a fairly dark tan looking head, and lots of curtains on the side of the glass, but that's to be expected. I mean, 14.1% is a big one. But yeah, it looks really nice. Let's check out the aroma on Sticky Fingers. Oh man, loads of pecan. Like, if you, almost like if you make pecan pie. When you smell pecans before making the pie, it's exactly that. Like just a bright, fresh pecan aroma with loads of brown sugar and bourbon. It's almost like, yeah, a bourbon pecan pie type thing. Like I've done that myself. I made pecan pie with some bourbon in the sugar mix just to give a little bit of complexity. I don't think I've done with maple before, but there's loads of like bourbon soaked pecans. Wow, and the amount of head on this beer that's sticking around for beer with this much like nutty aroma is crazy. Often with beers like this with a lot of nuts, it fades really quickly, but there's so much pecan aroma. And it smells so real. Like I don't think I've ever had a pecan forward stout or one that says it's made with pecans that smells this much of pecan or pecan or whatever you call it. Like it's in abundance. And I think the maple, I got it from afar, but it's to me more on the aroma here, brown sugar, like a bourbon brown sugar type thing. I mean, maple syrup barrels and maple syrup in brewing is tough because it's a delicate flavor and with time it will fade really quickly and possibly even ferment out. But there is like this really nice, like really caramelly, like pecan pie type aroma. Lots of bourbon, lots of oak, nice undercurrent of vanilla. There's also almond, like almost like that milky feel of almond, which is probably like from the barrels and boosted by the pecan nut aroma, or the nuts, but the aromas from those are boosting that almond feel. It's roasty, it's toasty, somewhat chocolatey, but it's like the most nutty smelling Imperial Stout I think I've ever smelled. There's so much nut complexity. Like it's also like toasted hazelnut or black walnut or something. There's just like these layers of nuts. These nuts. But it smells really, really good. And for it being aged, it just smells like it's mellowed it. There's no like, it doesn't smell like this needed to necessarily be drunk really fresh. It just smells really nice. Let's give it a taste. Cheers, and thanks a ton to Beerdome for the beer. Maple is there still. Up front, you get loads of sweet maple. So much bourbon. It's almost like, it's funny because up front it's like, whoa, loads of maple. And then it transitions into this like heavy, like nutty pecan type flavor. And it's just like pure bourbon caramelized pecans. There's so much like intense barrel flavor. And that's the thing with Barrel Souls. Their barrel flavors are just like screaming at you. Like it's almost like sipping on the real deal. Like There's so much intense barrel character. And I'm wondering if it's because of climate or because they use a lot of small barrels. Because I've heard a lot of brewers that do like these beers that has like these screaming barrel characters. Is of course really fresh barrels, but a lot of them is because they either blend or use small barrels because the process of the barrel aging is quicker in a smaller barrel than a big one. But yeah, it's really fucking tasty. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet. There's enough alcohol and woody dryness from the barrel to like counteract all that sweet maple syrup flavor. And I think it's more maple syrup on the flavor than brown sugar. It just smells more like brown sugar. And the stout base is actually quite soft. It's like chocolatey and toasty, and like it just tastes like heavy amounts of chocolate malts, like Carafa or something like that. Like Carafa Carafa Special 2, the dehusked chocolate malt. It tastes a lot like that because it doesn't have that same intense roast profile. It's like this soft, nutty, chocolatey flavor, and I'm getting a lot of that, or at least one of these dehusked Carafa variants. It tastes something like that, or just like some kind of dehusked chocolate malt, I guess, because it's not like that full-on hard roast. It's like really soft, delicate roastiness and chocolatey, nutty flavor. It seems like the plan from the beginning with this has been like to build a base that would hold nutty flavors very well without it being overpowering on the stout department. So like the pecan would really complement the base beer, and it's really fun good. But like, it's sweet, and it's on the sweet side. I don't think it's too sweet, but I think like if it were just a tad sweeter than this, it would almost be too much for my palate, because I'm drifting away from the sweeter stouts. But this is just, it's kept in check by acid, alcohol, and like woody dryness. Yeah, like hazelnut, black walnut, almond, pecan type nutty flavors, maple syrup, brown sugar, really toasty, oaky, woody barrel, lots of bourbon. And it's really the caramelized flavors of bourbon that's emphasized on this one. Also possibly because of the maple syrup bourbon barrels. Then with a touch of layers of toasted oak and vanilla. It's actually not that vanilla heavy compared to other bourbon barrel aged beers. It's more like this heavy, like crazy fudgy candy caramel bourbon type flavor, which complements it really well. But yeah, it tastes like a marriage between a bourbon pecan pie and an imperial stout, without it being like overly sweet pastry, which is awesome, which is what I associate with barrel souls. Yeah, it's really nice. I love that full-on bourbon flavor, man. That's like, you almost only get that from American breweries because they get the barrel so fresh. That like screaming bourbon whiskey flavor is amazing. It's a really strong 93, maybe even a small 94. There's just a few things I'd like to give a bit more complexity, because it gets a bit one note with lots of nuts, but I guess that's what they set out to do. So in that sense, they achieved what they tried to make. But it's really fucking awesome. It's close to world class, but it's not my favorite Barrel Souls beer. The beers I've actually enjoyed the most from Barrel Souls has been their barley wines. They have been really good, especially some of the ones in the experimental barrels, like the Buffalo Trace experimental barrel one was really good. But yeah, really nice, like strong 93 for this one. Sticky fingers in Buffalo Trace bourbon and maple syrup bourbon barrels with pecans and maple syrup. Really, really good stuff. If you dig sweeter, nuttier imperial stouts, this for sure is for you. So if you guys had a chance to try this one, let me know what you thought of it. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And thanks a ton to Beerdome for the beer, and I'm almost like cheers, and see you guys in another beer review.